Did you know Tom Cruise is Jack, the dreamy boy in the woods, long before you knew him as Maverick in Top Gun? Did you ever wish you could also touch a unicorn, even though it would totally mess up the entire balance of the universe? If you remember getting confusing tingles in your special areas from a buff Satan, you might be a Xennial.
No.
And you might remember the 1985 movie Legend, and we are on a roll this morning already. I knew y'all would love that little bit. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Danny.
And I'm Katie, and you're listening to Generation in Between, a Xennial podcast where we revisit, remember. We've been doing a lot of rewatching and sometimes relearn all kinds of things from being an 80s kid and a 90s teen young adult. And yes, today we are discussing the dark fantasy cult classic movie, Legend. But first, we have a special return guest, our first return guest.
Yeah.
Jamila's here in person.
First return guest?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Have we
Nice.
had Carlos on twice?
No, he stayed for a Dawson's Creek, but it was the same day.
Right. Correct.
He'll
Yeah.
be back, but yes.
Oh, he's going to be mad that you're here and we didn't tell him. Oops.
Why? He wanted to meet her?
I'm sure.
Oh.
Okay. I'll text him
him.
later.
We'll
I'll
text
text him
him.
later.
Cool.
Okay. Well, yeah, Jamila's here in person. She is actually here on vacay
I am, yes.
on one of the coldest weeks ever in Florida.
Suck it, Virginia.
I know. So she has one of her lovely children here
Yes.
with her, and they are having a good time. And I asked her daughter if she was going to be okay with us discussing this, and she's like, I might make a face.
There's so
Fair.
many faces.
But it's okay. So if you need to leave, that's fine. She also has some great questions for us, so we're going to use those later.
Right.
But
So don't leave.
if y'all listen to our Labyrinth episode, you will remember my friend Jamila, who is a Labyrinth super fan. But for those who may be new here, I'm going to read her bio for you again, just to give you a little refresh or a brand new info.
And I'm
So
going to stare at her the whole time.
do it. She loves that.
Oh.
I know. I'm her favorite. All right. Jamila is the owner of Mama Loves Herbs. Herbs. It's herbs. It's herbs. I
Oh.
put on purpose. Oh,
Uh,
God. Start over. I'm going to say it again.
No, it's fine.
Jamila's owner of Mama Loves
Yeah.
Herbs, a company that encourages everyone to heal through sound, good vibes, herbal remedies, self-care, and loving community. She is an herbalist, sound healer, doula, writer, mother of 5, and wife of 1. She is mostly lawful good, but sometimes chaotic evil.
Mostly chaotic evil.
Yeah. And as an 80s baby, she has a deep love of Jim Henson and most of the puppet movies, which probably accounts for the chaotic evil. Now, that line was specific for our Labyrinth episode, but I feel like it's relevant. Yeah, it's super relevant.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I was just going to say, and we'll get to it, but yeah, aren't there puppets in this movie?
There's
Yeah.
puppetry,
Puppetry.
Okay.
and, like intense special effects and like makeup,
Yeah.
creature
Okay.
makeup,
Yeah.
Not,
but not puppet.
it was mostly makeup.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot of
Yeah.
makeup. It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But like not not Labyrinth level puppetry
No.
Got it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So
and unicorns.
The unicorns
can I
were
tell you
beautiful.
how
I
excited-
can't even.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get
get
there.
there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
I will relax. I forgot about the slow-mo unicorns. Listen.
It's that movie is, and I'm just gonna say this overall, this movie is super 80s.
I know.
Mhm.
For real.
On so many different levels, and like watching it again in my adulthood. I've done 3 to 4 rewatches of this movie, and it hits differently
Every time. I
It's
can
like
totally see that.
80s.
And also watching it with your child is a different experience. Yeah. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. But before we get going, because we're going to have a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings
So
and a
much.
lot of dissection to do. Katie, why don't you read us the movie summary? Are you ready?
Okay.
All right.
Oh boy. I didn't read this ahead of time.
Oh, great.
Be
Even
fun.
better.
All right. Official summary.
Smart
A
type.
pure-hearted forest dweller named Jack, played by Tom Cruise, must battle the evil Lord of Darkness, played by Tim Curry, to prevent him from plunging the world into eternal night by destroying the last unicorn, all while trying to save the beautiful Princess Lily, Sara, from the clutches of darkness. Set in a mystical forest filled with fairies, goblins, and unicorns, Jack embarks on a quest to restore balance between light and evil.
I have a comment. How dare they put Tim Curry and plunging in the same sentence. How dare you?
From beginning.
They started off. They're just there. They knew what they were doing.
They knew it.
Anyway.
Knew. Okay, Katie, I have to say, like, you reading that summary and your beautiful princess voice is amazing. It's so good. I went extra. I like doubled down.
I know.
I doubled down.
Really good. Can I tell y'all a funny fact? If I ever had a daughter, I wanted to name her Lily, and it was because of this movie.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
You know what's weird? When I was watching it and I saw that her name was Lily, I was like, I wonder if that's why a lot of people my age have daughters named Lily.
Well,
I know a lot.
But... Did you see the lilies in the movie?
Yeah.
I had comments about that too. And we'll get to there. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There. So before we get going on our feelings and thoughts, although we've already given y'all some,
that's just to tell you the
buckle up.
Now.
Yeah, I know. We have so many. I got some little facts to pull up just to share, and I know Jamila said she had some too.
Some, but they're topical, so
okay. So we'll just get to them when we get to them. So mine are just basic bare bones stuff, which is funny because I was like, oh my God, I've got to get this research done. And I'm like, oh, it's not that much. It's not that much. And then of course you sit down.
This movie, okay, let's talk about that for just a second.
Yeah.
As it relates to, there was what I learned, because I'd never bothered to look it up.
Right.
All of my interaction with Legend has to do with kink or just like nostalgia, right?
Yeah, right.
So like I was reading up on it and I was like, holy crap, this movie got, like, they had some tea on this stuff. Like, what was going on?
Yeah. And you don't hear about it a lot. I feel like there's some 80s movies out there that you hear a lot of stuff about.
Yeah.
I feel like,
especially for a movie with Tom Cruise.
I know.
Tom Cruise is that, like, he's got a spicy movie history.
Right?
So for this to, like, have not made it into the zeitgeist is weird.
Yeah. I know. I agree. Yeah. So, okay. So since we were talking about Tom Cruise, we'll start with the cast. And I only have 3. I mean, there's really only 3 main peeps in the cast. And they're all names we know from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom Cruise has been in a bajillion movies. So I just listed some of the other 80s movies that he was in for our younger audience out there who may not know. All right.
Yeah.
Y'all are going to know all these.
Yeah.
So he was in The Outsiders before this. I thought he was in The Outsiders after this movie, but he was in Outsiders 83.
His first movie.
Yeah. I don't know why I got those confused, but Outsiders was 83. Risky Business was 83 as well.
Ah.
Yeah. All the Right Moves, also 1983.
Jeez, he's busy.
I know. Top Gun was 86.
He's a heartthrob.
He was a heartthrob. He was.
These were really big for that.
He looked like the boy next door. And, So, yeah, Top Gun was 86. So, right after Legend, he did Top Gun. So, then he did Color of Money, 86. Cocktail, 88. I love that movie.
I do too.
Young Guns was 88. And then Born on the 4th of July was 89. And that was just his movies in the 80s.
Dang. And he started in 83. So,
and he was actually in one before that in 82 called Endless Love or something like that. But it wasn't one I knew, so I just left it off.
Like, never mind.
But then you had Sara, who we know from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's it. Well, the rest of her stuff was movies, but they were like TV movies or miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have seen her face a lot, but that was kind of it. And then, of course, we have our beloved Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously he was in Rocky Horror Picture Show in 75, but I always think that's an 80s movie. And I don't, maybe because I saw it in the 80s.
Aesthetic is very 80s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was 75. And he was in Annie in 82, which I forgot. He was in Annie.
He was Rooster.
Yeah, I hate Annie. So sorry.
Can we do an episode? Because
I'm not coming.
We can talk about Annie. We can talk about the deep trauma of Annie.
Oh yeah, there's so much. I hate it.
I
hate it. And then Clue, 1985.
I love
the
that
rest
movie.
of the stuff he was in like the 90s. So
okay.
And then it was directed by Ridley Scott. I saw that.
Wait. I have all of our Star Trek people out there.
Oh, here you go. I don't know anything.
Doctor and I'm so sad because his name is escaping me and it'll come to me later. The guy who played the Doctor in Voyager was also in this movie.
Who did he play?
I don't know.
Oh, well.
I saw him in the casting list, but it wouldn't tell me who he was.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
that's weird.
So he was somewhere in there.
Oh,
let us know, listeners.
Like a goblin or something?
Yeah, I guess he was I mean, if you were a goblin, if you weren't
true.
Tim Curry.
Or that lady in the house.
Or
do y'all know?
We're going to talk about that later in
Nell.
the house.
Yeah, Nell or whatever.
Nell.
name? I just watched it, finished it this morning.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday and today.
Yeah.
And I have notes about her.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
What about
I
the
totally agree.
little honey crisp?
Oh,
we'll talk about him in a minute. Wasn't he an actor? I mean, obviously, her eyes.
He's a German actor.
Yeah.
Actually, and went back to just the things I know. And after he did this movie, he just went back to doing mostly German language movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because a piece of trivia I found about him, they said his accent was too heavy to do an American movie. So his voice is dubbed.
Mm-hmm.
And he was 18 when he played Gump.
Yeah, he looks so little.
Isn't that crazy?
Looks like a baby. I mean, they also had him running around basically.
But it was dubbed by the lady who played the goblin.
The goblin. There's a lady that played the Lord of Darkness. I have some stuff about her too. We'll get there.
Like the fact that
I know.
That was really exciting. A little exciting.
I know.
I was like, that was played by a woman?
I know.
That's so cool.
I didn't think that either.
She's villainous as hell.
Oh my gosh. So good. That voice.
Yeah, man.
Oh, that voice. Okay. So here's the thing. And you can jump in, Jamila, because you probably know some of this when you started your research too, finding out all these weird little things. So there's like multiple versions of this movie.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So there's the OG 94-minute European release.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have an 89-minute American release.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Then there's a 94-minute release that they had for network TV.
Yes.
Which is weird that it's longer than the theatrical version.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then they had a director's cut, which was 113 minutes.
I've seen the director's.
I have not.
Ooh. I have it.
I have not. Will you all tell us what is different?
Okay, let me tell you what I remember.
Okay.
Because I watched the director's cut. I actually said to Evangeline, who's my daughter.
Well, I didn't say your name.
Oh,
I'm sure if you wanted me to.
I'm sorry.
But your mom did, so now I'll say it.
We say our kids' names.
Yeah.
I know, but I mean, I don't want
you
to.
didn't want to.
Thank you for respecting it and letting me make that choice.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. But the one thing that I remember distinctly, because I watched it, how was my oldest? 17. I watched it with my mom, and we'll talk about like all my rewatches, but I watched it with my mom when I was, no, that's not true. I watched it in my 20s. And the one thing that I remember very distinctly is they have this like 15 minutes of Sara just running through the woods and singing.
Singing?
Yes. Singing. Not singing, like she's like la la la.
Oh my God.
That's the opening sequence. It's actually her.
Okay, I love that.
Mincing.
That's fun.
I can only use the word mincing. It's her mincing around in the woods.
That's appropriate.
And like singing.
I wish they would have kept that.
No.
Oh, it's bad?
Well, 15 minutes seems excessive.
Too long.
Oh, it's too
like
much.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's that.
Okay.
And for me, when I watched it, it felt like they were really impressed. And this is one of the things that comes up in the reading that I did. They were really impressed with like the scenery. And they wanted to do a lot of scene shot.
Yeah.
And that's all that was. It wasn't building character. It wasn't you understanding her and making it make sense because, and we'll get into this in a minute, like she doesn't make sense.
Oh, no.
In like her character doesn't make sense. And it just doubled down on it. Because I'm like, oh, she's supposed to be this princess, like from her tower, her ivory tower, and yet she's spending a lot of time just mincing in the woods.
Mincing in the woods. Yes. Oh, we need shirts that say that.
Yeah,
I wish I was mincing in the woods.
Yes, I'd rather be mincing in the woods.
Okay, so speaking of cuts, Tom Cruise did not like the American cut of the movie, and so he tells everybody to watch the director's cut. So just FYI.
I'm gonna go back and watch it.
Yeah, let us know
when I get home because I own it.
Is it on DVD or something?
It's on DVD.
Okay.
So at first I have to figure out how I'm going to watch a DVD.
I know. I was like, you still have a DVD? Please?
Yeah.
Nice.
Or at my house.
I need to go get one at Goodwill or something because I would like a VCR as well, but I know
I don't have any tapes.
I know.
We got those.
We got that. It's not
going
to work.
You don't think?
Yeah, no, it's not going to work. We just bought it for the case, the Little Mermaid case. Episode coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so also this script went through 15 rewrites, and they had one guy that did them all.
Yeah.
His name was, I don't know how to say his last. How do you say his last name? William Hort.
Oh yeah, I was struggling with that earlier.
Yeah, it's HJORTSBERG.
Sorry, Germany.
Yeah,
probably Hortzberg.
Okay, I did it right.
That would be my guess.
Hortzberg.
All right. Yeah, so he did it all himself.
Pause. This final version that we watched had 15 rewrites to get to that.
No.
They were all the same person.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the evolution of like. This is a good time to do that. Let's talk about the evolution of Legend. So Legend was actually supposed to be a dark adult.
Yeah, it was not supposed to be for kids.
I could see that.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much. And that is one of my complaints on the rewatch of Legend is that I watched it this time from more of a storytelling perspective, whereas before when I watched it, I was like firmly in my nostalgic feel. So I was like, oh. But I watched it from a storytelling perspective this time. And that movie was at war with itself the entire time. Because darkness as a character is not a character for children's films.
Ooh.
I am going to tell you that I am a person who likes darker themes for children because I think they can handle it. And we talked about this in Labyrinth. But they spent the entire movie like trying to pull back from this character while also making him the main villain.
Right.
But it was started. That's how it started. And then they didn't feel like they could sell it as an adult movie.
Right.
So it went through a series of like hack jobs and rewrites. And the guy who actually wrote the screenplay had no background in fantasy.
Isn't that crazy?
Nothing, not whatsoever. And so one of my other issues with watching the movie was that the elves and the fairies, they reference them, but there's no actual lore around them.
Right.
If you notice, there's no difference. There's no, even personality-wise, there's no difference.
Yeah.
That was my thing.
Well, except for the one creepy girl. The creepy fairy.
The fairy.
Oh, Sprite?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Una. He creeped Cooper out. He's like, dude, she is scary.
Well, because it's the violation of it all.
I know.
Yeah. So anyway, and I'm trying not to like.
I know, we're not
jumping. That's why there were so many rewrites because you had so many voices trying to make this movie able to sell. And then it went through a screening.
And they did not do well. So then they rewrote it again.
Yeah.
I feel like I guess I don't understand the industry maybe. Wouldn't you just have another writer? Well, yes, I do. Because I helped someone who they made a film about her life. And it had 4 or 5 rewrites. And they were all different people. Because they didn't like the version someone had. There was one version, it was about her real life, where they had her like sleeping with a journalist, and she was like, oh, hell no, because it didn't even happen. Oh, the like screenwriter just made it up.
And they were like, you know what this needs?
You sleeping with someone.
And she was
not
like,
sexy enough. Sorry, your
like,
life.
get your life together.
Yeah, sorry that you're sad.
You're going to make this happen now.
She was like mortified. So like, I guess I'm saying like, if the first 14 work out, why are you still someone who doesn't have a fantasy? Maybe they were just in so deep they just had the
probably
Ridley Scott was like, here's this book.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Fairies. Celtic fairies write a movie.
Oh my goodness.
And it has nothing to do with what the movie's about.
No. He was welcome to fairies.
Well, so speaking of deleted scenes, there's one infamous scene.
No, can we put a pin in this?
Yeah,
I actually want to come. I want to come back to that.
Hold it. Okay, we'll hold it because we will talk about it.
Yes, and I want to talk about it in a really bigger way.
So before we move on to get our thoughts, I found this website that was like stage makeup people and special effects, and they gave so many interesting details on the makeup for this movie.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Okay. Poor Tim Curry, first of all, guys, y'all. Okay, when they first started putting the Lord of Darkness makeup on, it took 8 hours. So after they got the hang of it, it only took 5.5 hours. Wow. Every time they filmed, that poor man.
5.5 hours.
And then you have to go perform.
Right. Like, that's not even, you haven't even done anything.
And it's not, and you, like, let's give more perspective here. Also, you think this is the 80s, so it's not like you had a phone.
No.
To like,
you're just sitting there.
Him, which sounds very first world. But like, phone, like maybe he was watching TV, but like,
like that just sounds horrible.
Sounds awful.
Okay, so here's some details. So he had horns that were made of very lightweight fiberglass, and they were over 3 feet long each. And they were like hooked to his back, and they like came around, but they were very lightweight. The first ones they had were not, and so they changed it because they were just too heavy.
Yeah.
He also wore 18-inch stilts and like had to learn how to walk on stilts because of the hooves.
Yeah.
Right? Wow. So it said with Curry's height of 5'9", the 3 feet,
He was so little.
I know he's little, right? He's 5'9".
Well, wait, in Clue, you get that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause he's kind of small.
Yeah. All in Clue.
Anyway.
But then he had 3 feet horns in the 18-inch stilts. He stood like over 10 feet tall.
Oh my God.
Wild. Yes. Because it looks huge.
He looks huge
And,
in the
and
movie.
so it was kind
Which
of
is-
to realize.
Daddy.
Here we go.
Right, sorry. All right. Listen, there's a scene I'm going to reference when we get to that point.
Oh,
because
yeah.
there was a moment I had last night where I was like, this is it.
That's it. That's where we all break.
Yeah.
So at one point when he was doing his makeup, he had to do this process at the end of the day where he had to soak in a bath to get all the crap off, and it took forever. And so
he probably got paid like shit for this movie.
Oh, I know. And at one point he got really too impatient and claustrophobic. He just pulled the makeup off without doing like the bath process, and it tore his skin off.
Yeah.
So, I knew that was coming. Oh, it gets, but
No,
listen, the director felt, there's more. The director felt bad for him, as he should. He was like horrified. And so he tried to find like an easier way to like make up for his character. And he didn't want Curry to put more makeup on his torn skin. So he shot around him for a week. So, the opening scenes where you don't see him much, you just hear
in the
him.
dark.
Yeah. That's why they did
With his day glow fingernails.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Oh, I know. That's why they did that. So you can't see him because they didn't want
So he
to
could have a break. That's nice.
Italian perspective. It works.
It was great.
Yeah, you don't see all that was nice
Because
later.
he was darkness.
Yeah.
Like they made
Actual.
that very,
Yeah. And then I only have a couple more things, which we already talked about. Meg Mucklebones was the name of that swamp witch.
Yes.
I did not even know that was her name.
That's so cool.
Oh, do you plan to eat me, ma'am?
I know.
That's so good. That one scared Troy. He was like, "What?" Like when she popped out.
Yeah.
It was great.
He has that like that movement.
I
that,
know.
Like,
It's so
that
creepy.
good movement. Yeah.
So the inspiration for her makeup, she was designed to look like an extreme version of the witch from Snow
She
White.
does look like the witch from Snow White.
And as I read that, and
yeah.
they said Blix, who was the goblin, Lord Darkness's henchman,
Yeah.
their face, I know, she stuck ahead.
I just read it.
Their face was designed after Keith Richards.
Oh,
What?
Oh.
And now you can't unsee it, like his bone structure.
Yeah,
Because he has very distinct
very
bones.
structured.
But like, who would be like, you know what? Let's make this goblin
I
look
would.
like Keith Richards.
I absolutely would. I'd be like,
Bones and jawline.
but you have to also think about the fact that like creative people who are they're literally making these things out of nothing.
Yeah, right.
So I'm sure you're walking around your everyday life looking for
Inspiration.
It's
true.
And you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Sir, you have a very
Fair.
distinct.
Oh, let me pull up my notes. Yeah, that was the end of my facts. So now we can dig into our thought.
Okay.
Apologies, young child.
So
she's not really that young.
I'm going to say that I am definitely a Legend superfan. And I believe, like, as I was watching it, I was like, oh my God, Legend is like imprinted on my personality.
Oh my God. Same.
And between Darkness and Jareth, I was like, oh, I understand myself so much better now. The brooding, the drama, there's so much there. But also I had that, and we talked about this in the Labyrinth episode, I was explaining to my daughter this morning that like part of that could be because there was a lack of like Black characters for me to imprint on. Yeah. And so who did I pick? Like the non-white character.
Sure.
And that's what I saw in myself, and that's kind of what I picked up on. I didn't pick up on Mia Sara. I didn't pick up on like Lily or Sarah, or I was like, what about this dude?
I mean, I was like that too, but for a different reason.
Inigo Montoya. Like, let's talk about
right? Exactly. Oh boy.
Yeah. The rewatch was hard though.
Yeah.
Because I did have to like confront my nostalgia. I was like, oh babe. Yeah. What were you thinking? Where were you? And I'm gonna read something that I found.
Okay. Oh, I can't wait.
Really like sums it up for me, because I was like struggling last night after I watched it. And this made me feel better. Okay. Style over substance is the
good.
Considering the somewhat light source material given, it makes sense that there wasn't really much for him to work with, the screenwriter.
Mm-hmm.
He had to create a lot from very little, as he looked at a picture book for potential lore without substance to back up the material's visuals. it stands to reason that you work with what you've got. That was my enduring complaint as I was watching the movie. I was like, there's a lot of shit in here that they're not explaining.
Oh, so much.
But for me as a little kid, it made sense. But like for me as an adult, I was like, why is he wearing a golden dress?
Oh my God.
Where did it come from?
Oh, I have so much to say about that. I would like to buy that and wear it out.
Yeah, also it's so cute. But like, we don't explain. So I like made this list in my head. I was like, we don't explain Gump at all.
At all.
We don't explain the hierarchy of Gump. We don't explain where the unicorns are when they're not in the forest. We don't explain why the armor is there.
Yeah.
We don't explain like why this guy is like a defector.
Yeah.
And is like on the goblin side, but he's not a goblin. We don't know what he is because is he an elf? Is he a fairy? We don't make a distinction there. We just sort of have this generalized fairy presence, right? We don't explain the bog witch at all.
But do you need to?
I mean, the bog witch is fine. The bog witch is fine.
Kind of stand on her own.
Step back. The bog witch was fine. But like, there's so many elements in this movie that they just, and I'm fine with saying you don't really need to know. There's some things that like it's just there, you accept it, you move on.
Right.
But some things I was like, we're introducing a lot of elements here. Like the other thing was, let's talk about Jack and Lily. Lily was supposed to be this princess. We don't explain that. We don't know that she's a princess.
Yeah,
actually.
Like, why? I don't understand. He was like, Cooper has had all these questions that I did not have when I was 12 watching this movie. He probably had the same ones I had when I watched it for the first time yesterday. Today. Should we pause for everything you're saying?
Yeah.
So did you like the movie? I did not like the movie. I knew you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I'm not so ready for your hot takes on it. I love Tim Curry, and we'll get to that. And I just kept going, what the fuck? Like everything. And like Brown Tom and Screwball, like you got all these like folklore names, but then you got a character named Screwball.
Yeah.
I was like, what's happening? Like I was driving Amelia to school, and I was like, she's like, are you okay? I was like, I'm just thinking about this movie I watched. I was like, and I just said Legend. She goes, I haven't seen it, and she would probably love it. We were wanting to see it when she was at my house the other night. And I said it was for the podcast. Yeah, Jamila was coming, and I said, I don't know. It's just like fairies and stuff, but then there's this guy named Screwball. She goes, oh, and she's like, he's a character. I was like, he's kind of a puppet. She goes, sounds cute. I go, he's not. I'm gonna send you a picture.
He's cute. He looks like somebody's grandpa.
Okay, so I didn't like it. I had so many questions.
Like it or not? I still like it from a formative, nostalgic perspective. As a standalone movie, it kind of hits the same vein as the music from Labyrinth. Okay.
Oh, got you. Which explains why I still freaking adore this movie.
Yeah. It's the sense.
I fucking love it. I can't help it. I know.
I need this. I'm going to say something that's extremely controversial, and it is something I would never, ever say. Well, I will take.
Well, you're just putting it out into the whole universe now. Our 5 listeners.
I have.
No.
6 listeners.
We're up to 5,000 downloads. Thank you, universe. This week, I know. 5,000. Jamila's going to push us to 6,000. Here we go. So,
here we go.
Statement, whatever it is. Right?
Controversial hot take. I think we could do a remake of this movie.
No, you cannot.
I want the adult remake.
Do we want Tim Curry back?
No.
Yeah.
We gotta retire.
It'd be granddaddy now.
You know, grandpa's got some things.
Oh, that's true.
He's got some things going on.
Thanks.
But I think that this movie is a good candidate for an adult remake. I don't want to see it as a children's movie.
No.
I want that hot daddy energy. Because, and can we talk about the deleted scene now?
Oh yeah, let's go. I mean, I have notes. We don't have to go in order. We just talk about it as we want.
Okay, because this relates to the deleted scene. So
we'll tell Katie what the deleted scene.
The deleted scene, and it wasn't really a deleted scene. It was never shot. It was in the original screenplay.
Got it.
In the original screenplay, which again, we have to remember was for an adult audience, the darkness, when Lily comes in, and I'm going to step forward. One of my issues with this movie is this whole innocence thing.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a corruption of innocence, except he never really actually corrupts her.
Right.
Lily stands her ground.
Yeah.
All the way to the bitter end, and even her switch doesn't really make sense.
No.
And that's one thing that I actually like about her as a character is like she was like absolutely not like Evangeline laughed when the scene where he's like, "Do you like it?" And she's like, "No." My child laughed so hard.
Yeah.
But
it felt so honest, like from the chest of just
yes, it was very honest.
And
how many times have you been in a situation where you're like, yeah, no.
in the context of the 80s,
yeah,
that would have been her turning point.
For sure.
That would have been the moment where she's like, "I've got this dress. You showed me some jewelry. Boy, I'm in it."
Mm-hmm.
It was like, no, I'm still not. This is like, yeah, I danced with the imaginary.
Oh, I love that scene.
I do like that.
That was one of my favorites.
It is a very beautiful scene, and I really like it. And I really like the allegory of it as well.
Yes.
The demon baby, I didn't know what I was like. I'm not sure what we're doing there with that, but anyway.
Wait, I don't remember a demon baby.
You have to go back and watch it. There's this little demon.
What?
And in the background, when the dress is dancing, you can see it like.
Stop.
Really?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, it reminds me of. Do you remember the dancing
Ally
baby?
McBeal?
Yeah, it looks like the dancing baby.
All right, I'm going to do a Google search while we're talking because now I have to see it.
Like out of focus,
right
in the background, but it's there. And
do you think that's like an Easter egg?
I don't know.
Or like anybody playing?
I don't remember it from like when I watched it as a kid, so I must have just like not paid attention to it. But I saw it last night.
Oh, the demon started
the whole thing, but you see it in the background.
Okay.
So, anyway.
Oh my God. Okay, I have to look this up now.
So her turn doesn't make sense because she stood strong in her like,
yes,
I'm going to undo this. I made the mess.
Yeah.
I'm cleaning it up. I'm enduring this to clean it up. So in the original adult version, darkness actually torments her into her change. And tortures her into loving him.
Okay.
And then he assaults her.
Yeah, like violently
assaults her.
So you know that scene where it's like there is a scene that's like an implied scene.
Yeah.
Where
there's actually two implied sex.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
there is two.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be where one of those is. And I think it's the one where she's like right in the beginning, right? Isn't that where that happens? I'm getting things confused in my brain.
It's after, by the time she's like, no, when she's dressed.
Oh, okay. That's when it, yes. Okay, got it.
Because she's pushing back. And so he pushes back and then he sexually assaults her.
Okay.
After she gives in.
Right.
And for me, that is not a thing. Okay, so let me say, I don't enjoy at all sexual violence in movies.
Me either.
It is a thing that turns me off. I do not like it. I do not want to see it. Even when it makes sense in the movie, I don't want to see it.
Same.
But I will say that for a movie that is about the corruption of innocence, and then a movie where she is supposed to commit extreme violence, and you are believe her capable of extreme violence, because murdering a unicorn, murdering purity,
the last unicorn,
the last ounce of purity in the world, in the universe, is an extreme act of violence. So you have to take somebody who is innocent and make them capable of extreme violence.
Yeah.
And the way that happens is trauma.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, and the other little tidbit on that was the screenwriter was really upset that they took that out. And I was like, from a vision perspective, I understand it, because if you're trying to make this argument that this young woman who was pure and innocent is corrupted by absolute evil, and is made to then want to, because it's through her own desire to do this, and then she does the heel turn, right? She's supposed to want to do this extreme act of violence.
But see, I never believed that she was going to. And maybe that's why.
Version.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
it's
Right.
different.
I knew. I was
you're
like, oh, she's got a plan.
So because
She's going to free her.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very quick.
Agree.
Goes from, if they had like, I think it would have been easier to believe that she could have done it if they had made that descent slower.
Yes.
And also, a pivotal point in that would have been when she touched the unicorn.
Yes.
Okay, which that scene made me so mad.
Me too.
Bro, you're gonna take this girl
I
to go
an idiot.
see this unicorn. You are not gonna have.
I know.
And this is as me who has taken people to like sacred spaces.
Yeah.
This is how you don't get to, you're going to feel overwhelmed by this. You're going to love this. You're going to have all these feelings. Don't fucking touch anything.
Right.
Don't mess it up.
Thing. Like you were experiencing, you were overwhelmed with white privilege. I get it. You're rich.
Yeah,
That. Like there's so many things because even that they didn't sell that.
I know.
They did.
I really do believe that her being this princess was completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
They could have made her Nell's daughter.
Yeah.
They could have made her this girl from the woods, and they fell in love because the whole thing with her being the princess, they didn't explore that at all.
No.
No.
Really.
It didn't matter.
It was a completely useless detail because they didn't talk about, well, I can't marry you because you're this boy from the woods.
Mhm.
They didn't put that tension in there, which would have been it's a trope, but it would have been a solid
Something.
tension to give this couple who's like falling in love. They didn't do that. They
Yeah.
We talked about like, oh yeah, we got suitors.
Yeah. Where are your suitors?
Where are your suitors?
Oh, and then she like threw the ring.
Where are your suitors?
Whoever can find this can marry me. I'm like, where'd that happen?
It was like, why did she do that?
That was so useless.
Why'd she do that?
Another implied sex scene. So like,
Yeah.
there's no tension between these two.
Right.
It's fine. Like let them fall in
Let
love.
them be in love. Yeah.
But there was no implied tension, so that wasn't useful. She was very comfortable in the woods, so it wasn't like she was the fish out of water tree.
Right.
And there was no reason, even in the darkness aspect, because he wasn't trying to manipulate her into letting her, into getting into her kingdom.
No.
So it was just like, we have this formula
Yeah.
for fairy tale.
Yes. And
Somebody
everyone's
done.
gonna like her. Well, I got mad at that scene because immediately, and I know they do it on purpose, but it's the whole like Garden of Eden allegory where, of course, the woman messes everything up. She touches the forbidden thing.
We also fixed it.
She ruined, but she
We
didn't
have
fix it.
impulse control problem.
Yes, that's it.
We
What?
can't be trusted.
You put a unicorn in front of me.
Listen.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm gonna touch it.
Unicorns for a second.
They're beautiful. I love them.
Okay, let's just talk. There were
Um,
movies in the 80s about unicorns, guys.
Really?
Yeah. Do you not remember the last unicorn? Oh, it's cartoon. No, I don't. The last unicorn. Remember the last unicorn? Then they're in Neverending Story. No, not Neverending Story. They're in what was the other one I was thinking of? They had the last unicorn. Then there's another one. They were all over the place in the 80s.
Yes.
But this movie, I think, was the first time I saw one that I thought was real.
They
Beautiful.
So
But
as an overall statement, I will say that when we're talking about style versus substance, they nailed the style.
oh my God. Yes.
Visually, the movie
I agree with that.
There was
beautiful.
glitter everywhere.
I know the
everywhere.
soft focus.
I like the close-ups of Mia Sarah's face
And
with glitter.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like is
I-
like very
Let me tell you, I need to walk around with a soft focus and glitter.
yeah.
That's it.
And
That's
the
it.
hair. I need the hair.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Big
the
fan.
little yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Was she supposed to be a child, or is she a young woman?
no, she's a young woman. She's supposed to be a child.
Okay.
The way that Nell spoke to her,
I thought she was like a teenager.
but maybe it's because
Nell-
she was a motherly
And I
figure.
brought this up. Nell has that whole conversation with her about how she needs to stop running around in the woods
Right.
Yeah.
Grow
to
up.
be a princess. And
Right.
She needs to grow up. Now, that for me made her seem like a child, not a little child, like that coming of like this. It made the argument that this is a coming of age.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
And
Okay.
they refer to Jack as a boy,
Right.
They do. That's true.
even though he was an adult.
Right.
But it still brings the ick factor of
Yeah,
this
That was my thought.
millennial age. But again, we're talking about the 80s,
Yeah.
and it was it was an innocence. It was a betrayal and corruption of innocence
Right.
movie, which is a kink, by the way.
Yes. And I mean, as an adult movie, that would make sense. I just was watching it like, is she supposed to be 15? Is she 20? Like,
Yeah,
what's going on with her?
vague, and they don't. It is another place where the movie is at war with itself.
Yeah.
Because they want to infer that they are children, and I mean children in the way that I will say children, which is teens are children.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah.
I don't do the adultification of teens. Y'all can pack that bullshit up.
Thank you.
So they are.
Don't
Yeah.
care.
Thank you.
Sorry, Evangeline. But you already know that she's your
She
mom.
knows that.
This is your mother. Like, and this is not.
Yeah, I was like, this is not the first time she's heard this.
Oh, that's the right choice.
Yeah,
Right choice.
do it because being an adult sucks.
Seriously.
But so they were children, but they didn't want to make them obviously children.
Okay.
So they sort of did this vague, like, we're not going to talk about ages. We're going to give you enough to infer that they're children, but not make them children.
Mm-hmm.
Because also, like, them being physical
Right.
also brings in this little bit of, like, well, you know,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and not to say that teenagers aren't, because I'm not stupid.
But,
I was a
like,
teenager.
we don't want to see that either. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
tricky.
also you're dealing with this, again, the trope of this daddy.
Right.
This mature, developed daddy.
18 feet tall, apparently.
He's 18 feet tall.
Said 10. Oh, whatever.
Whatever. Let's just make him
Like a
gradually larger throughout the.
so fine.
Yeah, we're just gonna make him gradually larger throughout the podcast.
Yeah.
As 23
Like,
feet.
you know that guy? Well, by the end,
That's 12 feet
600
tall,
feet tall.
But he's this enduring, like, but also still living with his parents.
Right.
Talk about that too.
Well, that was confusing for me.
Daddy.
I was going to say. So he's not Satan.
No,
Satan's
he is
his
the Lord
father.
of Darkness.
Okay.
Which I would,
Father is Satan or under.
I don't know.
Hades,
Again,
something.
Again, that's
like,
another thing you're not supposed to know, I guess.
Real vague, like, because they
Okay.
didn't want to because they do reference heaven and hell in the screen in the
Yes.
crawl
And
in the beginning,
Right.
right? But they don't make him overtly Satan, even though there's so much imagery around,
Right.
like the
The-
torture, the
Well,
fire,
the horns, the red,
Right.
the,
Yeah.
like all
Right.
of it. They don't.
his realm being like full of fire
Mhm.
and torment, but they don't. You know, I don't know. Maybe Satan has like a trademark on his name, and they just like trademark
They're like Lord of Darkness.
Capitalism comes to call in hell.
or that like Satan Daddy is.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to get sued.
Oh,
wait.
goodness.
Yeah.
Wait, so
Going back to unicorns.
no.
Oh, okay. They were very beautiful though.
I forgot what I was
well
going to say. It'll come back.
I will
It
say
doesn't
the
matter.
unicorns. I even though they were mythical and fiction and all the things,
Were real dumb?
when the unicorn, no,
Oh, okay.
were they?
Because that was an. I got a whole thing about how.
Okay. Well, I was
But
just
the
going to say I was actually really sad when the one unicorn died and the way the other one was like crying around.
I
it.
know.
That actually
That-
pulled at my heartstrings.
Really, that was the one.
Am I
So-
upset about it?
One of the things, my complaints about this movie is the failure to emote. Like they
Yeah.
didn't make you care about Jack. They didn't.
Uh-uh.
Sarah. It's not Sarah.
Ah,
Lily.
labyrinth.
A little bit more, but they still don't do a good job of like making you connect with the characters in a way
true.
that you feel something for them.
I mean,
the-
do they though?
Like,
Yeah, I was sad.
like,
Crying and walking around him and
The only thing about the unicorn, though, that Troy ruined it for me because I was like so excited. I was like, slow-mo unicorns. I totally forgot. And he goes, those horns are kind of floppy. And are they?
Stop
it.
it.
I didn't
Stop
even notice.
doing everything for me.
Magic for me. And he's like, oh, did you think they were real?
They found real. They went to, Bali and they found
I
real
know.
unicorns. How dare you?
I'm going to the Renaissance Fair this weekend, and I heard they have unicorns there.
Mhm.
Watch for a picture.
I
Oh
can make
yeah, I
that.
want to see it. I want to see it.
I'm also dressing like an elf, so
But
red.
okay, so here's my issue with the unicorns
Okay. All right. What is it?
as a story feature.
Yes.
Okay, you first of all, bitch, your husband gets killed and you're about to just doom the whole universe.
Oh, I know.
Because your bro got deaded. Second, but he was over there playing with that girl. Why was he playing with that?
I mean, he's an animal. I don't think he's thinking.
But are they animals? Like, I'm not for that.
I mean, he is magical, so
He's
you're
a
right. They
magical
probably are like animal with a capital A.
Guardians for these things, like they are dependent. The universe is dependent on,
and they're just
these animals
frolicking.
and y'all are just letting them frolic in the forest.
Yeah.
Mincing. They're mincing around.
Mincing.
Have no guardian.
I'd rather be mincing.
No desire to fight.
And no desire to fight.
But they also
That's true.
Protective instincts at all.
No,
They're like, hey,
that'd be me though, guys.
yeah, true. I'd be a mythical creature.
I would just be like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do this.
Like, these guys are sort of useless, so we should probably put them under a glass. Like, we should have
Oh, you're right.
guardians, because we have the technology. We have swords and shields and shit. So why aren't we protecting these
Or
things?
the elves. There's apparently a lot of elves and fairies. Brown Tom, who eventually protected the mayor.
Yeah.
Did I just
Brown
pay
Tom is the
attention
guy
to
who gets
with the ring? Yeah.
yeah, he thought he was
down his name because I thought it was weird.
It's funny. And let's talk about the fact that like the side characters, you like connect more with the side characters than you do with the main characters.
Yeah. Do you feel like they threw those in though to make it more kid friendly?
They did.
Yeah.
Disney find
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like part of their like
we need something. But there was also another one that got cut out.
Oh,
there's
that's
another
right. Yeah, Tick.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I forgot about that.
He was just useless.
They said he was useless.
Anything.
I felt like sometimes depending what they were doing, I couldn't tell the difference between those two.
Screwball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless someone said screwball, and I was like,
You're like,
there's that name again.
And that is where it comes down to. It was very generic. They were very, very generic.
And then I was like, why is this the guy watching the unicorn? Like, there was no explanation of that.
Yeah, no.
You're guarding the unicorn now, and he's like, cool. And then people are shooting. He's got a gun. Can I tell y'all something? I was like, what? Can I tell y'all something full honesty? Uh-oh.
Did you not remember any of that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, that would check.
Also.
I feel like our listeners need to have a bingo game, and every time I say I don't remember that, you get or a drinking game. Don't do a drinking game. You should be in a hospital by the end of one episode. Exactly. No, as y'all are sitting here saying all these things, like I felt none of that. Like I was just having a great time.
But
did not even give a shit that it didn't make sense.
I also want to give like deference to that. Like,
that
is a movie where you are there for the vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you're not trying to learn anything.
No.
Because also, let's talk about how Jack was our white hero. And
this man dressed brings him to the fucking Eras tour.
It was beautiful. Listen,
really pretty.
He's shown up at the Met Gala and been banging, okay?
Hello, legs.
Oh,
like,
no.
I did not
That's
realize
why they did that.
Hello.
Those eyes were
great. Come on, Tom Cruise.
I'm watching
for those.
I'm not, okay, we had this whole conversation last night about how Tom Cruise is how Jack is my type because my husband has long hair.
For real.
Like,
I see that.
Coloring, same hair, same. And I was like,
but I think Rich gives more off like Surfer Jesus vibes.
He is Surfer. Well, not Surfer Jesus.
Well,
he is
just
hippie.
Appearance.
He is very hippie Jesus, though.
Right.
Yeah. And his whole personality.
We'll show you a picture.
Very hippie Jesus.
I think I've seen him on your socials.
Probably.
But
he shows up. He is very much a unicorn on my
socials.
It's
usually you and then like.
He pops up every once in a while.
Yeah, pops in every now and then.
So I try to like give him some measure of privacy.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, he doesn't want to be attached to this level of crazy.
And now we're talking about you on a podcast, right?
Yes. Hi, husband.
Ta-da.
But so the thighs were dying.
Nice.
But
and they had him crouching a lot. Did you know that? It's like why see his underwear constantly.
But the reason for that was they were trying to sell the Jungle Boy kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they didn't carry through.
I know.
He wasn't feral at all.
He was too pretty.
Feral. Gorgeous. He was not feral.
No.
And he also was not very pure of heart.
No.
That man went to murder real quick.
Like real quick.
Like that jump was super speedy. The Bog Witch? Yeah.
He's supposed to be this pure part hero. First time.
She was really pissed about this.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
There was no
Yeah.
there was no emotional
Yeah.
and he didn't try he did have this conversation with her, but he didn't try to de-escalate it. He
No.
didn't try to
Not
say,
at all.
I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah.
I am this innocent I don't want to hurt you. I have this love of nature. He was like, you gonna eat me? All right, no, you're not. Boom. Done. And I was like, why is her head?
What's the storyline that's the first time he'd ever used weapons?
Yes.
That was the other
Oh, I
the
bet that
storyline.
too.
Yeah.
was,
That was like the first time he didn't
he
even
never had it.
I
Didn't
know
know. He
what-
actually says that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know how to use it. I'm not a hero. I don't know how to use weapons.
Listen,
Girl, you were not paying attention. You were not there for the dialogue. You were like,
I would
give him Tim Curry.
Although I
there,
would say
but-
I waited a long time for Tim
Okay.
Curry.
Let's talk about that.
A long time.
Like the last 40 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Not that. I was down.
Soliloquizing for the first
Yeah.
half of the movie.
Oh, can I tell you one of the most favorite things he said was in the beginning where he's just saying stuff where they're talking about the unicorn.
Yeah.
And he's talking to the goblin guy and he was like, they were talking about there's only one left. And they were like, oh, only the female is left. She has no power. And he's like, I really
Only the power of creation.
Down
Bro, it was.
tell y'all, I stood up from my couch and my two male folks that I was watching it with.
Can we? Yeah, go ahead.
No, they just
Yeah.
looked at me and I was like, hello.
This is
Yeah.
some feminist
Yeah.
like power in that movie.
Which is ironic, isn't it? Because
The misogyny, but
yeah.
because there's so much misogyny. But here's my other thing about that. The movie was for the 80s a really feminist movie. She stood
Yeah, that's
on
true.
business. Like she was like, I screwed this up. But even the idea that like she did something wrong, she didn't do anything wrong. She was not informed.
Right.
She had no idea what she was doing. She really was very innocent, and she went out and was like, I want to touch a unicorn. But even in the way that she approached the unicorn, she got down on her knees.
Yeah.
She didn't come at the unicorn.
Right.
She, like bowed and like waited, and the unicorn came to her.
Yeah.
So she did not force herself
Right.
into that
I
scenario.
think that's what made me mad about that.
Yeah.
That's like now everyone's mad at her and she's ruined everything, but like she didn't.
She didn't because
Like what?
all of y'all are like looming around, flying and shit, and disappearing and reappearing, and nobody was like, babe,
I know. If
maybe
you
don't.
do that. Well, he did say, Lily, don't. But I'm like, after she's already
But
there.
she's
Already there.
And also, friend,
Yeah.
you saw this girl get up.
I
You
know.
tackle her ass. to
I
the
know.
ground.
Right.
You didn't be like, sweetie.
He literally left.
Then
He straight up walked away.
He got kind of pissed and walked away, and then she was like, sweetie, I just want to touch a unicorn, and he was like, that's right, I forgive you. And then it was done. And
Yeah.
what did we just do that for?
Right.
But nobody informed her. She went
Right.
into it with no information, and then she caused something, and then she repaired it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she went through hell, literally,
Literal.
to fix it. And Jack was, and this is maybe, I don't know, maybe nobody wants to hear this. Jack was completely fucking superfluous.
Oh.
He was
Hot
superfluous.
take?
They should have been the same character. There was no
I see. I see.
reason for them to have been two separate
Right.
characters. She could have done
Done
that
both.
whole thing
Without him.
by herself. Like
Mhm.
she could have descended into hell, gotten trapped with the unicorn,
Yeah.
gone on down there, and done the whole. We could have cut Jack, Brown Tum, Screwball, all of them. We didn't
Katie's like, yes,
any
please.
of them. Like none of them. This
Oh,
would
but
have
then that
been-
would have messed up the whole movie. Come on.
It-
I need the glitter and I need the goblin.
I don't know who's listening to me, but when we do the labyrinth, not labyrinth. I'm sorry, I'm so in labyrinth.
I
But
know.
when we do the Legend remake, it's just gonna be darkness and it's going to be the movie that 50 Shades should have been. Okay.
I like it.
It's just going to be her
Sad about that.
being the bratty sub and daddying.
Movie. That's not a redo.
I love it.
That's just,
I want it.
it's like inspired by the other one, but a different movie.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm writing fanfic.
There you go. I love it. Let's go.
Fanfic.
All
right.
Let's do it. You heard it here first, everyone. You heard it here first. Okay, wait. I have a really stupid thing to say.
Yes.
That bothered me the whole time. Okay, good.
Something bothered you.
You're gonna laugh so hard when you see what it was. Do we think that Tom Cruise is a mouth breather? In real life or in the movie? Because, hold on. You know, he had a nose job to fix a deviated septum, which does make you a mouth breather. Okay. He had the nose job before this movie.
Okay.
I think it must have been in between Outsiders and this one, because he did not have the nose job in Outsiders, because his nose looks different. If you remember.
Right.
Anyway, the whole time I'm watching, because I myself am a mouth breather, and I struggle really hard to keep my mouth closed when I am like in regular life, so I'm not like walking around like this. But he did the whole
It was killed me just
movie. The whole movie, his mouth is just a little open like this. Well, especially if he had just gotten that fixed, maybe he would still. So y'all didn't notice that?
The habit is still. I did not notice, but I also
Did you notice that? Basically, she noticed it. Yeah, he just multiple mouth. Maybe it's my health thing, but I don't know. Maybe it was hot there.
Probably.
I thought
cold.
I couldn't stop noticing it, and I was like, Troy, do you think he's a mouth breather? And he was like, what? That's what you want to know. I would have all the shit to notice in this movie. Right. Hello. First times he smiled. And I don't mean shade, because I think Tom Cruise is an attractive person, but I was like, oh man, he really hadn't like grown into his teeth yet. Well, he didn't have his teeth fixed yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, didn't have orthodontics yet. It's fine. But I was like, oh, like what you expect from the Tom Cruise you see in your head. Like, yeah. I was like, oh, yeah. He didn't have his orthodontics. Yeah.
Tom Cruise was a piece in that movie, and he
was.
But they just that was the extent of his character.
Right.
Was like his character was pretty and violent.
I know who in charge of the costumes? It was like, oh yeah, we're putting him in a short gold dress.
They were like, first of all, there's a lot of, and I no shade on Germany, but there's a lot of Germans involved in this.
Oh yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Also, did y'all notice? Cooper pointed this out to me. The second that Gump came on the screen, Cooper goes, "Was that kid in Malcolm in the Middle? He looks like Frankie. He does look like him."
Muniz, yeah.
And I said, "Oh my God, no! Like that kid wasn't even born yet, but like he looks exactly like him.
Yeah,
he does. It was weird, right? Yeah. Anyway, those are my two inputs. Right?
Thank you for that. This was another like style piece, and this is like so small and so good. Like, do what you want with this, but there was a lot of like stylistic imagery in that movie, which also was like, y'all just could have toned that down and you could have written a better story. But anyway, 15 rewrites in that
guy. Can't get over that.
And that's what
I'm never going to get over that. Because you're a writer, I bet. It's not really bothering you. Fired 5 times. 2 drafts in.
Yeah. 15 drafts, and we got no character like development at all.
This is what we get.
Yeah.
Like when we were talking about The Wizard, it was written in 2 weeks or something. 3 weeks. And we were like, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. But like this one, if you told me that, I'd be like, oh, I see it. But 15 rewrites, and this is what we get.
15, yeah. 15
and love it.
No, and zero character development. But what we did get was details like the lilies with Lily. Like her into that scene, and there were lilies underneath her, which for no fucking reason other than they just wanted to, because there's no reason that lilies would be in the woods. Yeah, like there.
He was showing.
Yeah.
She was
Patch
like
of lilies.
Patch of lilies. Then also the scene, there was a scene where she was getting ready to go into the like she stood up to go into the unicorns, and there was a hemlock, which is right next to her.
I did not notice that. Mila's got to notice all the play. I love that though. Yeah. Oh, herbalist. All the herbalist.
There were a few more things that I was like, oh, you guys really did some detail work. And maybe that was accidental, right? But like once accidental, twice seems a lot. But there was a lot of like detail work that they did around that movie that I was like, and I chalk it up to Ridley Scott being Ridley Scott, but also like y'all, we could have just developed some characters, just one. Like we could have.
That's the tagline.
We could have developed characters.
That's a tagline, except for me, where I'm like, glitter and unicorns. Let's go. Let's go.
And glittery heart for
everything. I don't know, because it was cute.
For what?
It was cute. I don't know.
Cute, but
Let's talk about
into
Satan.
it. Let's get into it.
Okay, we've been all right. So
well, I mean, appropriately, he doesn't come into the movie until like way past the halfway point, fully.
yeah.
And let's talk about where his hoof comes through.
Girl, that is all right. So there are some like best entry of all times. One of them is Jack Sparrow when he pulls into the port and steps off. One of the greatest entrances of all time.
Yeah.
But when Daddy comes onto the scene,
hoof
with
blazing,
his hoof and his chest and his horns, I was like, how else am I supposed to feel about this?
Right?
So 10 feet tall.
I know, 1,800 feet tall. Yes. So this was, I have to say, it was so awkward for me to watch. I don't know. You watch with your daughter, so it might be a little bit dynamic than me watching it with my youngest son, and my husband, who Troy had never seen it, which I was like, hello, why? But we hadn't either, but that's okay. Troy likes fantasy stuff and in the 80s, but so I'm watching it with the two of them, and I'm like, oh no. Here I come. This is awkward. And I was like, this is, and Troy was sitting next to me, and Cooper was at the other end of the couch, and I said, this is kind of weird watching with you guys.
Okay, that wasn't the kind of weird scene for me. The entry was like, because there was a badassness to it that I was like, look at him. There he comes.
Yeah.
It was the moment where she passes out.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And he like, crawls.
Yes.
I think he's supposed to be just like leaning over her. But the visual.
Yeah.
Crawling over her. And I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I wish I was alone right now.
I know. It was so embarrassing.
Weird around watching, because what they did. I'm sorry, I bumped this. Like,
you're good. We're all for clips now.
Exactly.
I know, like I'm Twitter painting. So because the overt, like you can't. That's why I always say this movie is at war with itself, because you cannot deny the overt sensuality of who he is.
Yeah.
And even before, like, they can try to make this argument that like he was trying to seduce her because Daddy told him to. I'm just like, you can go seduce girls because your daddy told you. But even before that, when he's sitting and he's brooding with his day glow nails and his eyeballs, like he has this broody, undersexed, like energy to him, where you're like, you know what you need.
Well, doesn't he even say, I can't get this like off my mind?
Oh yeah,
I do something about this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your take on the hot Satan?
So good. So good.
So you are in agreement with us on that.
Amazing.
Eyes, like I was really paying attention to the makeup.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I kind of want to like be put off of this. Like maybe I just didn't look hard. But I was looking at his eyebrows, and I was like,
they were
girl.
Voice, okay?
Yeah. The voice. They did not have to go as hard as they did with the muscles.
No.
They did not.
And somebody knew what they were doing.
The attire. Can we
and the attire.
About
they really went for
it. There was minimal. Like, there wasn't a lot because there was so much makeup and, like, so his attire was minimal, but it was so much drama to like hate.
Yeah.
It was good.
I feel like this would be such a fun cosplay, but you could only be of one certain body type.
Yeah, dude. You're not. I mean, unless you're putting on a lot of like.
I would say, you know what I
like the like plastic like abs and
like
plates you can buy.
People like you have
to look and see you,
right?
Like, there's got to be.
Trust me.
There's got to
trust me.
Well, and those were prosthetics on him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
for sure. But okay, and I'm always here for a good evil eyebrow. Y'all know what I mean when I say
that. Yeah.
Woo.
And he had
100 of them.
What?
He had 2 of them going.
Not only did he have one,
he had 2, you guys.
I mean, I like eyebrows. There's just something about it. You can get evil eyebrows.
The nice broad shoulders and like
This
is why I say like this is also a feminist movie, because you know, in all of its like 80s feminism. Let me put that tack on.
Yeah.
Because so a lot of times when you're talking about women getting seduced in movies, like when it's the Nosferatu effect, right?
Right. Oh,
They're-
yeah.
There, you look at them and you're like, girl,
Yeah.
are you okay?
Like what?
Like,
Right. What are you doing?
How did that happen? Oh, it was just the supreme evil,
Yeah.
right? But
You get it. This show, like, you get it. Yeah.
They actually gave women enough of a thought, or maybe it was for the men. I'm not trying to.
I mean, it's for whoever found this attractive.
But they gave people enough of enough consideration to say, like, we're gonna code him in a certain way, that it's not just that he talked to her. It's not just that he's powerful. It's that even in all, and it's sort of, again, we're talking about sort of this metaphor for like being seduced into darkness. You're looking at it and you're like, I know he's got horns and I know he's got, but like, hear me out from the eyebrow down to the knee.
Yeah.
Okay. And the teeth.
And the teeth.
The
teeth were so good.
What was up with that? They were good.
They coat, because there are certain things, like I was having this discussion with a friend of mine about vampires.
See?
And how vampires
Yes.
are arousing. And we don't, like, on its face, it's like, what?
Well, some are not.
Yeah.
But the concept.
But the concept itself. Yeah.
And it should be terrifying.
Right.
But somehow we've been like, it's scary.
I know.
Also,
No, I like it.
It'd be okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
Right.
maybe.
remember when we went and saw Dracula? We went and saw, just a quick aside.
It was amazing, but he was good.
He was really good, but there was a part where he starts biting the heads off babies, and we just started laughing.
We did. And blood was on his
Oh,
like literally.
No,
I mean, was he biting babies? He was feeding babies to the other vampires. Girl, it was crazy.
oh.
But then they had fake blood and it was squirting because, you know, stage blood is hard to control.
Yeah.
And so it was like,
we're like 10 feet in front of us.
we were laughing. And then we had a friend who was on the show and we were like, oh gosh, we're y'all trying to be funny? And he was like, well, not really, but whatever, like, y'all got from it is great. We were like dying laughing. Entertained.
We were very entertained.
I mean, like, they did a good job of putting that like attractive
Definitely.
vampire vibe where you like
serious.
I want to say no, but
I feel darkness is coded that way, but they didn't underproduce that. They were like, we are going to, yes, we could, because they could, I feel like they could have gotten there without all of that.
Sure.
He could have been a dude, like, they could have just made him red, or they could have, you know, it couldn't have just been Tim Curry, but they could have done less makeuping and less specific makeuping, and I think we still could have gotten there.
Yeah.
But they did what they did.
Yeah,
like
they
gave him a 27 pack. And they
Seriously.
Okay.
It gave him a full case of beer on that.
And then they made him the scene again that I go back to, the visual.
I know.
Him just looming over her.
Right.
Yeah.
The visual of it was like, what else am I supposed to do with it?
I will say, knowing he was coming up, I mean, I would have watched it anyway for this episode, but if I was just watching it on my own, I probably wouldn't have. I would have stopped it.
Should have been asleep.
Half hour. I would have been asleep once or whatever. And I was like, no, I gotta hold out. I gotta hold out for hot Satan.
Hold out for hot Satan.
And in the beginning scene when it's all dark,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, there he is, and I'm like, oh, because you don't see it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But then when he came back later, I was like, now we're good.
When his hoof came out.
Yeah, when I saw
stylistically, again, it was a great choice because they don't show him.
I know. It was really good.
Hear his voice. You know that he's a brooding drama queen because there was so much.
Which also, we were all here for that.
I was here for that.
We were all here for that.
So good.
And the poetic, like, he spoke in an almost poetic
Yeah.
way. So I think they coded it in a few different ways. One of which was the intelligent, like, well-read, like, college daddy. And then Professor Daddy, I'm gonna call him
Professor Daddy.
Professor Daddy.
There he is.
And then girl, we're just gonna.
I did not ever have any attractive professors though.
Oh, really?
Zero.
Not even.
So once again, I'm gonna say that I have daddy issues. So any of the daddies, all of them.
Do you think it's from this movie, or did it predate this movie?
Ooh,
Well,
going deep.
So I think that this movie was the first time that it, like, you know how sometimes you put language to a thing?
Yeah, sure.
Right? And you're like, there's been this nebulous thing that's just been floating around inside of me. But you don't know until you see it. I think that there was some part of me that definitely leaned into the control, daddy.
And so you see it like all made up and on the screen, and you're like, "That's it.
That's it. That scene, and in that scene where he crawls over her, and I keep referencing it because that was cemented into my brain of like, I should be scared. I was aware enough, and maybe not the first time I saw the movie because I was like 6, right? But I remember watching that movie and being aware enough to say, this is supposed to be scary. I am supposed to be scared right now.
Right. But I
am not. Put me in a dress and I'm not passing out. You know what I mean? There was something very attractive in that for me. And it wasn't the monster because it's not the because I know for some women it's the monster.
Yeah, it's the evil and the whatever.
And they're the evil.
The evil, yes. But you mean like the monster characteristic.
It wasn't actually the body. Like the body reaffirmed it.
Sure. The body was bonus.
Something about the dynamic for me. That
I get that.
I was like, I would have been evil. I totally would have chopped the unicorn horn off and we would have just gone merrily into the darkness.
Yeah. Well, I'm wearing this is a Hades Town shirt today.
Yeah.
Oh, Our Lady of the Underground. Underground. Yeah. So Persephone. And that's the Persephone lore, right? That Hades steals her and she agrees to be evil for half the year and live in hell with him. As long as the other half of the year she can be in nature and on land and like she's
so the perception,
which is interesting,
never really did it for me because I was like, why would you go back?
Wouldn't you just stay?
I could just be in there.
But when you see Hades in this show, then you get it. He comes for her every 6 months and she's like, oh, here I go, because there's a point.
Why would you go back to the good?
Why would you? I would be like,
I thought you meant why
my mama.
Like,
I don't want to go to my mom.
Yeah.
He'd be like, girl, you got to go. I think if Rich could send me to my mom for 6 months, he'd be like, you have to go.
So he had the better end of that deal, not her.
Oh,
I see what you're saying
too.
I would be like, I'm not. I would write my mother
staying down here.
Like, Hades is smoking hot. We've got a thing going on.
Yeah.
I gotta miss.
I gotta just stay.
Sorry, everyone. It's just gonna snow
Okay, so let's get to Evangeline's question because she had a question. I said Evangeline. I'm so sorry. I told her. She's like, I won't say it wrong.
Evangeline, what was your question?
Okay, Evangeline, your question was which of the characters was the most confusing? Is that correct? All right.
Like, did we think was the most?
Another one you asked me this morning. That was
which was. You have another one?
What I'd like to know more about. I think.
Okay. Ooh. Okay.
Okay. So let's do the most confusing.
Let's do the most confusing. Maybe I should just take a pass on this one because I'm not confused by anybody. Really? I mean, I guess you know what it is.
I feel like you accepted this movie on a surface level.
Yeah. I think that's what it was.
That's a way to watch it.
I didn't. Yeah.
I mean, and I there are lots and lots of movies that I watch that way that I'm like, don't think about it. Do not think about it. Just watch it.
Yeah.
Good time.
And I'm pretty sure like I went in knowing that and I was just ready to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Maybe if I watched it again and try, I don't know. I think my brain would still be like, I'm just here for fun.
So
I'm reading fast and you guys answer. I mean, I was confused by a lot of them, but like a lot.
I'm just gonna every single character here.
But I feel like maybe the one I would want to know more about, which is because I was confused about them, is probably Jack.
Yeah.
Like, how did you find yourself in this state? Were you raised by
fucking untraumatized? Can we talk about
and very
civilized in a way,
Yeah.
like you said, not very feral, but also has never used a weapon, but somehow apparently like grew up in the woods okay.
Good at it. All the, like you.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is? I don't know. I have to.
It's like, wait,
I have
secrets. Secrets with swords.
force and precision to chop
Or sword.
something's head off.
I
Like
don't know, but
I
imagine
don't
a
know.
lot.
I'm imagining that the head is not
No.
like
Well, yeah, because it's like when they used to have the guillotines, they would get stuck. Like, and they
yeah.
have to do it multiple times.
yeah.
It's because the blades.
But that's why they got rid of the chopping block.
Oh, there we go. That's
have
why
to
they got rid of the chopping block.
Used to chop.
Guys, why
Yeah.
why does my 14-year-old know this?
Well, they probably. I don't know if they can hear what she's saying, so we may just
hear parts of it.
repeat it. We'll repeat what you said too. Yeah, she said that's why they quit with the chopping block.
chopping
and
block. But also, I need to acknowledge that I don't know why my 14-year-old knows so much about why they got rid of execution machines.
Because
Um,
are smart kids.
my kids are homeschooled, and that's
They're super smart. Well,
Research.
that's what I was gonna
There
say.
you go.
Your kids are super smart, self-directed.
So
Yeah.
she was saying that Danny had said the guillotine, and she was like, actually no, that's why they got rid of chopping the heads off.
Yeah.
Because
Like
it would
manual.
take
You're right.
multiple whacks
Yeah.
to get the head off.
Right. You're right.
They went for a professional.
For professional.
So they went
Yeah.
the guillotine
to fix that
to be
problem.
more efficient
Okay.
with the
Yes.
head chopping.
And so thank you for that. Maine.
And yeah,
Yeah. Let me make it
That-
more humane.
telling people
Yeah.
that
Your head off.
welcome to humans.
Welcome. Human
We try to
existence
find more humane ways to do completely
inhumane things.
instead of just not doing the inhumane things
Correct.
anymore. All right,
Yours was Jack.
Mine
Mine would be Jack. But does it matter? I mean, it doesn't matter to the story how he got there.
Okay, once again, you gotta. I have this thing where, and again, I write, so I think that's why.
That's what it is. You guys are both writers and I am not.
And I'm
Maybe.
doing this I have a critical eye with my own stuff. I have my critical eye with other people. And I'm also in the midst of a writing competition where we are reading other people's books. So like, that's where my brain is.
So you're like a feedback.
I mean,
Yeah. Looking for,
Yeah. So for me, but also this is a thing for me with media and entertainment pieces is you got to shit or get off the pot. Like you have to commit to a thing, right? And you commit and you go all the way with it.
Yeah.
So like and that's my issue with this movie was it wasn't committing. It didn't believe in itself. It wasn't committing to things. It didn't like its own characters.
Right.
And it really was a task list movie. It was like, we're going to do this thing and then we're going to do this thing and then we're going to, and I want to get to this moment. And I'm not going to be really mindful about how these moments grow the characters, how these moments connect the reader or the the person who's experiencing. And I was talking to Evangeline about this yesterday or this morning. It was this morning, and I was talking about Jack specifically. And I said, for me, there's two things that media. So when I'm talking about this, I don't mean just movies, but the two things that media does to you when you're talking about characters. One, the character or the piece requires you to change to engage with it. So for example, when you have unlikely heroes, you have your own bias around what a hero looks like. And then you're presented with this hero, who you're like, that you see a lot with anti-heroes. Like, this is a terrible person.
Right.
Now I'm rooting for this terrible person because they're the only one who is actually doing the right thing.
That's like House. Did y'all ever watch House? Yeah.
So unlikable.
But seriously, he's like the prime anti-hero.
Yes. And you hate to root for him, but now you're rooting for him. And and there's a lot of examples of this, but it causes you to confront your bias. It causes you to have to change your mind in order to engage with the character and in order to engage with the story. So the story, people talk about, the story leaves you changed at the end. But then there are characters who are almost a blank slate, and you can put whatever background you want on this character, whatever he likes to do in his spare time, whatever. It doesn't require any change for you at all. You can tell yourself whatever story you want to tell yourself about this person. And that's Jack. Jack is a bare minimum character. And the good thing about characters like that is if you are of the correct persuasion, so like a white guy, and I would love to talk to a white man about this, just to see if I'm like, because I'm speculating, right? But I would imagine it allows you to see yourself in Jack.
Oh yeah, probably.
Sure. Blank slate.
Yeah.
Just like for it allows you to see yourself in Sara. It allows you to believe that if I was in that situation, except I didn't, because I was like, girl, no. If I was in that situation, I would be the one defending the unicorn. I would be the one who's pushing back against this great evil, and I would do the right thing, and I would be clever. But you're not. That's uncomplicated by her own story. That's uncomplicated by her own, personality. It is, and that's what this movie feels like to me, is a blank slate. And if you're not a person if you're a person who's like, I'm here for the glitter,
right,
this is a very satisfying movie to watch.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a dismissive kind of way, because there are a slate of movies that I literally watch because I'm like, I don't want to feel anything.
Yep.
Right? I don't want to think too hard about What We Do in the Shadows. I love that show because that show requires nothing of me. I don't have to change. I giggle.
Yeah, you just watch.
The characters are interesting enough.
Right.
Like, keep my attention. But like, I don't know a lot about Laszlo. I don't care to know. Like, I just want to laugh and want to be entertained. So, and that's no shot against What We Do in the Shadows. I love that.
Never watched it. I need to watch it. I need to watch it too.
Everybody should watch it.
I haven't. So who would you want to know more about? Okay.
And
I'm here for that.
It's the same in both directions. Y'all didn't explain enough to me. Gump was, to me, interesting enough, like intriguing enough from a physical standpoint, because his body and his presentation was interesting.
He's a good little actor.
And he was good.
Yeah.
Like, actually, to me, he was the most entertaining on its face. Like,
right.
The most entertaining character, I mean, aside from Daddy.
He stands alone.
All exceptions, Daddy is
the assumed.
Yes. But Duff shows up. He's mercurial.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And like, but also there's this deference given to him, but nobody explains why.
I was going to say that he seems so authoritative, or like he knows everything about everything, but then you don't really know.
You don't know
why, or
very interesting. They did an interesting the sea of like uninteresting choices that they made. They made him very interesting because he was childlike.
Yeah.
In the ways that the other fairy folk were not.
Yeah.
That's a choice that they make a lot in fantasy, where fairy folks are children.
Yeah.
Which I'm here for it. I love it. I love the visual of it. But he was childlike, but he was strong and authoritative, and he was knowledgeable, and he actually was the narrator for much of the story.
Well, and Blaine a little bit. He was a little creepy too. Like, just like this, it was eerie. I think eerie is the best word, not creepy.
Obviously, there was violence in him.
Yeah.
In the way that he interacts with Una.
Right.
There is this...
And she. Woo!
Oh, yes. We forgot to talk about the consent problem of Una.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ew.
First of all, Heifer, we are in... the way I would have cursed her out, we are in a dungeon.
Right?
Yeah. Now, bitch.
Right. A dungeon.
And this is your...
I know. This is when you're taking a stand.
You want me to kiss you in the middle of a dungeon?
Right.
You want it to mean something? It don't. It doesn't. And...
Yeah. It's creepy.
But cool. Okay, again. But cool because it was
female. Yeah, female to male.
In the 80s.
Uh-huh.
Even though it smacks weird, and I want to be clear and say I don't agree with that kind of behavior. I don't agree with there's a word for it, extorting affection.
Yeah.
People in
trickery
situation.
Right.
It was icky all the way around, and I think it was intentionally. Like, it was.
You were supposed to. Yeah, you were supposed to be freaked out by her. Yeah, you were.
Like,
yeah,
but like, she does it, and it's weird because normally in the 80s you would have seen it in the other direction.
Right.
And it would have felt it would have compounded the ick.
Yeah, I had like a Revenge of the Nerds. Oh no, I can't even. Dawson's Creek, how we talk about all how every beautiful woman like wants to be with Dawson or whatever. We've been saying like just this season alone, in his bedroom, he's had to like
Fight off
girl,
girls.
stop trying to. And I'm always like, what man was writing this script? And that's how I felt about Una. I was like, okay, so everyone just is in love with Jack. And like, that's almost a fantasy too.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's also
every female
hero trope too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
where it's like everyone's somehow in love with him and wants to be with him. I don't know.
Even though he had personality.
No backstory,
But
nothing happened.
The gold dress
It's by thighs. So
It was the thighs.
but I don't know. It just struck me as kind of the same thing where it's like, of course, everyone's in love with this guy for no particular reason.
I say
Here's also the issue with that. From a storytelling perspective, like we have this moment between Una and Jack, and these guys are watching and ickily encouraging
I know
him to just do it.
just get it over with.
And I know that what undergirded that scene was Jack having this opportunity to show how pure he was because he was so devoted to Lily that he wasn't willing to betray her,
Right.
to even to get out of this
The dungeon.
Save them all and the universe.
but to save the universe.
Yeah. Basically.
But the fact that like it was a very check your bros moment, because it was like, oh, what we actually should be doing in society when things like that happen is y'all should have dogpiled Una and been like, are you serious right now?
yeah.
But they couldn't because she had to get the key.
Right.
So then, I know.
All they just from a justice equity standpoint, like all
Right.
y'all did was like
Just encourage
The
the,
behavior. yuck, but also fairies. So
Correct.
but also fairy.
it didn't mean anything from a storytelling perspective. It didn't
It was empty.
mean anything because
Didn't have to be there yet.
just like she and Jack didn't, which would have to me given Jack more of an opportunity to be something, because to be like, hey, come here, let's talk about this, like let's have this back and forth where we reach understanding, where you have to understand that like I love her, but also like you're better than that. Like they could have had a whole like,
Well, you know, it's like
you're beautiful.
you're a fairy. You can share your magic.
Corner people into a sex ship.
Also, it made me think of like Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. You know, like they had a whole like
The same.
yeah, it's the same
vibe.
thing.
And even just her little fairy thing that floated around. Yeah.
My thing with Peter Pan, and I feel like I should do an entire like episode on my feelings about Peter Pan. But my thing with Peter Pan is Peter Pan gives no fucks. Okay.
Oh, that's true.
And it would have been like, girl, you better go get that key,
Even like get your ass together, Tinkerbell.
or else there's going to be a lot of clapping.
Yeah.
Okay. Better go.
Yeah.
That's how Peter Pan dealt with Tinkerbell. He
You're
was like,
right.
oh, are you in your feelings right now? Get out of them and go do what I asked you to do.
And then
But
she
that's
did.
how Peter Pan was with
Everyone.
everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
And
Everyone.
he's icky. He's so icky in parts, but I also appreciate that energy of like, hey, look
No,
at me,
cut through the nonsense.
They
yeah.
did try to shoot you with those arrows, Wendy. Okay, but you go get over it and go make me a pizza.
Life goes on, you know?
Not doing this. The emotion that you're trying to
Oh,
have.
man.
I
So-
can totally see why you like that.
I do. It's so bad. But Una. So, but then they didn't do anything with it. Like the whole thing with her and Gump. Like,
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
was-
Yeah.
first of all, that reveal in the cave was for no reason.
Right.
It didn't. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where she like,
Yeah.
like, hey,
Right.
I can be a big person. Look at me.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
They were like, what?
once again, girl, your timing and situational awareness needs so much work. And I think that's where Jack should have like been like, we need to talk about situational awareness in this dungeon, okay?
Right.
So like, yeah,
Oh, I know. They were yelling a lot.
yelling.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about time and place, girl. Let's sit down. I'm gonna draw
Yeah.
on this wall. I'm gonna draw you some,
Right.
but social skills. But she does, so she reveals herself, and then we come back to it, and it means nothing at all.
Yeah. Right.
There was no, again,
Like, why?
it's been a detail that like, oh, I found out like she had to like, we were in peril, and then she got big, and then she did a thing.
Right.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
She did a thing, and then she was like, don't tell anybody about this, because but. Like,
Right.
there was no explanation. There was no, if they find out I can do this.
Right. There's no
Extra.
payoff or anything.
No payoff.
Yeah.
So then we go back to that detail and we learn nothing about it. We don't learn why Gump is upset. And then he just gets over it and we're just moving on.
Yeah.
You know? And
It's really weird.
big for the rest of it. Like, it was like, what did we do? What did I go on this trip for? I feel
Yeah.
that's my Game of Thrones thing. Like, I have so many moments in Game of Thrones where I was like, what did you torture me like that for?
I've never watched Game of Thrones.
I haven't either.
Oh my gosh.
Never.
Okay. Short thing about Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, the show. I'm not talking about the book. The show has so many moments where they take you through hell.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, they're like, that was for nothing.
Oh, see, I don't want that in my
And I'm
life.
like, no, that was horrible.
See, that's why, yeah.
I'll tell you why I haven't watched it, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Is because I've heard that there's a lot of violent stuff, and I'm not
There's
here.
a lot of violence. There's a lot of violence against women.
And yeah, I'm not here for. I can't. I just literally like the older I get, the less I can handle.
I am finding that to be the case as well.
Mhm.
That I find that violence against women,
Mhm.
I used to tolerate quite a bit of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not, and I don't know why I feel the need to talk about this, but it's not because it upsets me as a concept, and it does. I don't like it. But it's also that I have churned through it enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same reason I don't watch movies that are violence against Black bodies.
Oh yeah.
I've watched all of them. I've
Right.
watched all the movies. I have felt all the things. I have watched all the violence against women.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, Carnival Row was like that. I started watching Carnival Row and there was so much violence targeted against women
Yeah, I can't do it.
that I was like, I'm finished. with
Yeah.
this. There's nothing more for me to learn
Right.
by continuing
If it's not a
like,
learning moment. Right.
this trauma. So I know it exists. I've experienced it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I've learned everything I'm going to learn
Right.
about it. And for my entertainment time,
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's not entertaining to me. And
Yeah, exactly.
And then it does the opposite of what I want when I'm being entertained, which means when I turn it off, I feel worse than when I started.
Yeah.
And anyway.
Yeah.
Katie.
Yeah.
What else do you have in your notes we didn't get to?
Oh, I probably have a couple quotes.
Sorry.
There are a
because
lot
we
of good
didn't
ones.
win, 'cause
Oh,
it's
yeah.
12 o'clock and you have a student. So
12:30 I do. But
Okay.
yeah, we'll wrap up. I said, oh, his name was Honeythorn Gump.
Honeythorn Gump.
That's what
that
it
was
was.
first
yeah.
Honeythorn. Okay.
Honeythorn.
That's adorable.
That's adorable.
Listen, let's talk about Gump for a second because he is adorable.
He's cute.
Like,
He's super cute.
He's so cute. He's adorable.
so I don't want him in my Legend fanfic remake, but
He could have a small role.
I would have loved to have
Yeah.
more on Gump,
Yeah, me too.
and we could have done Gump instead of Jack.
Oh, that's true. Could have been a Gump.
Could have been.
Yeah. All right. What
So
did you write?
there's some other things. Okay, so I put Brown Tom taking care of the unicorn, laughing face. And then
drunk. Why? Why did you?
and then when Brown Tom says, I knew I should have stayed home.
I really had some shit against Brown Tom. Dang.
It's funny.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Although my
Oh,
next
no.
note, Brown Tom and Screwball on a team doesn't seem like a great idea. When they split up. And then
Okay, let's
like,
like
what was that?
Evangeline and I did talk about that because I was like, wait, you have a character, just from a character perspective, you have a character with a bow and arrow,
Right.
Yeah.
you have a character with a sword,
Right.
you have a guy with a frying pan, and
Yeah.
you have a guy who's just
There.
there.
Why do I feel like I'd be the one with the frying pan?
But like, why? From a strategic standpoint,
It's
why
a bad idea.
one of the people
is.
with the weapon,
Exactly.
one of
It
the
was so dumb. I was like, this is
I
how
did
you
not
split your
even
team.
gather that, guys.
Yeah.
I just it was just
that
that sword.
I didn't like that.
So y'all, who would be the sword? Who would hold the sword out of you guys
Oh,
if you had to pick a weapon? Okay, there we go.
you.
probably not me. I'd be happy with the frying pan.
I mean, I don't like cooking. Who am I lying? I'd be running out of the way.
It as a weapon.
Oh yeah, see, I'd just be laying on the floor crying.
Listen. It made me think of, for a second, I thought about Tangled
Yes.
because I was like, frying pan.
Oh,
Right?
right.
I don't.
Who knew? But frying pans are a weapon in a lot of
They're heavy.
scary movies.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Okay, and then I had this quote from I put from Hot Satan. The dreams of
Daddy.
youth are the regrets of maturity.
Facts.
That was a good one.
Are they? Like, it's so bleak. That's
But it's bleak. It's bleak.
True though. Like
It can.
I also do like how they ended the movie when they said you can't have light without darkness. I think that's 100% true. Like everybody has
It
both.
was a little like too tied up though. Like it
was
I
very
mean, all movies are like that, I guess.
Yeah.
But well,
80.
quick, and it
yeah.
In fact, we never saw a lady in the cottage again.
Yeah, you never saw Nell again.
Nell was pointless. But because this was not a character-driven story.
Yeah, it was.
And that's what I had to like really sit with last night was
Mhm.
like, oh, this is not a character-driven story. This is an action-driven story. And they really just used characters to like get the action. Like, we're going to go to a dungeon, guy. Let me tell you, like, it was like the storyboards were like forest, cave, dungeon, no, forest, cold forest, cave, dungeon,
Nell's house.
dungeon,
Yeah.
forest again. And
Yeah.
Cold Forest.
And I thought
Forest. Listen, Cold Forest is more like hell to me than Flame.
no,
In Cold
I
Forest.
see like physical, like I kept
Yes.
cringing when I saw his thighs in the snow. I was like,
"Ah,
horrible.
Yeah.
or Gump in like a little diaper.
I know.
Yeah.
It
No.
reminded me of Narnia.
Yeah.
Snow
Yes,
stuff.
it did. The sudden switch.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
very
That's
no,
what
yeah.
very
I
much.
thought- And let's have like a 5-minute, like 5-second conversation because I know we're running out of time about how many tropes
Mhm.
were in that movie.
I know.
How it took pieces from existing lore. And
Yeah.
once I
Right.
read that the guy who did the screenplay did not know anything about lore. He had nothing to
Right.
draw
Yeah.
from but other people's
Right.
It made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff just hodgepodge together.
Narnia. Oh,
Yeah. Then
generic elves. Oh, generic goblin.
even the Una being like Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
Like the sassy,
Fairy. Yeah.
Also, the way her hair looked is how mine looks when I wake up in the
Her hair was so funny.
really like her
Oh.
aesthetic.
Okay.
I do. I don't.
Like Danny in the morning.
She could have been. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You could have used her a lot more.
There's also like part of me because I thought about that. I was like, she could have like been a stand-in for Lily, but then I was like, but then y'all would have left girlfriend like in
A day in hell.
But she clearly needed love, so I think
Una,
they could have
yeah.
worked it out.
I also thought, and I wrote in my notes about Nell, I was like, she was really, of the few female presenting characters we had in this film, she was like, I don't know, it was like young beauty, and then like what you look like when you're not young and beautiful anymore. You're poor and you're frumpy and you're like
laundry.
cool.
We didn't address the fact that like she just totally trashed her lot. Like they're
Right.
Yeah. What the hell was that? That was weird.
Yeah.
She just like undid the clothesline.
Reeve.
I was like, what?
Blame the fairies. Like again, if she had turned around and been like Lily, I would have been like, oh, because it would have established. They tried to establish pattern with Nell. That was who Nell was. Nell was like, they're trying to, without having to actually have backstory, they're trying to use this character to close this information loop around how often Lily was in the woods.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, you're like a daughter to me. And I'm like, why? Why is she like a
Yeah.
daughter to you? And also, where the fuck are her parents?
I know.
Where are your
How far are you from your palace? I mean, like, what's going on?
And also, she has to. You are often in these woods, but she still has to warn you about toadstools.
Yeah.
Still has to warn you about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It didn't really add up.
not safe, but you are being permitted to just wander into the,
Hey,
Again-
the 80's though, man.
Look, I was allowed to wander a lot of places too, guys.
princess.
Are you sure? Actually, no. Actually, no.
Explain the unicorn.
I know. I wish I was. No, I'd be the kid with the frying pan. I don't know.
Listen, I have this thing where I don't want to be the heir to the throne. I want to be the sibling of the heir to the throne.
Oh, yeah. I want to be the Harry.
That
Mhm.
that is like my that's like,
Fair. So has had the best life and the most fun.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean-
he's also deeply traumatized, but
I mean, well,
But-
correct.
you have no response. Like that's what in medieval times, whenever I watch these medieval stories and they have a sibling who is not in any way like the heir has already had a child, I'm like, that's me. That's who I want to be right
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I would be drunk all the time and I'd be like, what are we doing?
Where are we going?
Yeah.
My sister, I mean, I'm the youngest. And so she's always like, God, you got to get away with everything.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's pretty much what it
And
is.
that's why I identify with it, because
You're the youngest.
I'm the youngest.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
See?
no, that's the life.
It is the life.
Yeah.
There was this case in history where there was
Oh, yeah. Come
Okay,
over
yeah.
here because they won't hear you. There's a case in history.
sibling just got to travel all the time because he had no chance of inheriting the throne.
Hey.
Yeah. Ninth sibling. That's the spot.
Yeah,
Ninth.
that's
Yeah.
That's a
That's
good
the
hot take there. Yeah.
Ninth
I love
sibling.
that. I love that. I love that so much.
All right.
Well,
What a great way to end this.
That was gold.
Oh, it's
good.
Overall, I did not like the movie. I am happy that I watched it for all the reasons we talked about today. Dumb unicorns. We just broke
Unicorn.
We just broke
Dumb.
Andy's heart.
Just useless.
Unicorns are never useless.
Nah. When you are
They were
holding,
pretty,
when you are
Even with floppy
literally
horns.
holding like the fate of the universe in your hands and like
Horns.
horns and your hooves, and you didn't like, nobody's concerned about you. Like, you're just romping around.
But listen. Yeah, horses are very strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Murder point.
A murder point
horse.
They just I didn't.
Okay.
There were so many things.
It's okay. We don't all have to agree. That's why it's so
Hey,
fun to
I
get
enjoyed
to
watching
universe.
it, and I'm very glad that
fun to-
you are here.
I know. It was very fun to talk about.
Fast.
It's like
a fun circle back.
us about the hot state.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, she's here for that.
I am here for that.
Who's not here for
Who's
that?
not? We would like to hear
I'm
from you.
proud-
No, we wouldn't.
I'm proud of us because this was actually a very kink light episode, and I
King Light.
very
Well, I
except for my
until
daddy
you write your
until I write my
boot.
We have to save it for your fan fiction.
Yeah.
And then don't waste it on our podcast.
No.
Save it
No.
for yourself.
Save it. Oh, there you go. My thing's telling me
Oh, your
my
battery's
power's
dying.
low, so there
Okay.
you go.
right. So
All right, there's our sign. Well, thank you again. And thank you everybody for listening.
you.
Please make sure you're reviewing us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yes.
Share us on social media.
Yeah.
That's how we got to 5,000 downloads. So thank you guys so much. And we'll see you on our next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye.